How's it going, everybody? This will be the last early access video for this season, covering some of the rest of the changes that came with this rather big patch. I've already covered the new character and the role changes, so if you're looking for those, just follow the pop-ups. I won't be going over every single thing in the patch notes, others have discussed things at length already. What I want to do is pick out 3 big overall changes and their implications. And as I have said on the other 2 videos already, all this footage is from an early access build, so there might be discrepancies between this one and the build that will make it to live. Please keep that in mind before overreacting to anything. Having said that, the 3 things I want to cover are the speeding up of various attacks, including new increments in attack speeds, the faster guard break after a feint, and then the lowering of various recoveries. We're starting with the faster attacks. I've already seen multiple threads and posts everywhere of people with the wildest speculations. Let's just first take a look at what we actually have. Orochi had some of his attacks sped up by 33 milliseconds, meaning for example his open light is now 467 milliseconds. What's important here is that I can measure this from my own point of view, meaning that the indicator and the animation match each other. It's not just showing less of the indicator, but an actual change to the whole attack. The attack can still be delayed and follows the usual rules, meaning the top light and side light finisher show a 400 millisecond indicator if properly delayed. So what was the point of the change? I saw tons of people calling the change useless or saying Orochi will be even more broken now in console. Both of these viewpoints are extremely narrow and kinda miss the point in my opinion. This is, well, not the first. I guess Raider Stunning Tab works similar now, but they've never told us whether that's intended or not. But for the first time we have attacks that do not fall within their usual 100 millisecond increment standard. I mean, some attacks already had hidden indicators, but I mean as an attack itself. As a whole, this offers much more variety for attack speeds throughout the whole game. This is just the first step, and they will probably observe how much this affects the hero's overall win rate. Will it change at the top level? No, obviously it won't have a big impact. The character still has the exact same problems as before. He still can't properly open up anyone. Nothing changed here. Will the character totally stomp on consoles? Well, is that anything new? People have shit setups on console and weren't able to react to release Orochi, so once again absolutely nothing changed for them. It's in the middle skill level bracket where we'll see changes. The question is just, how far can the character climb with this small change? How big of an impact does it have? The whole thing is not a buff to Orochi. That's not the intention of this change if you ask me. This is just a large-scale test for 467 millisecond attacks. Orochi is just a character they chose to test this on. So, depending on how this goes, we might see a lot of attacks get slightly faster, or be tweaked in general. So, this won't be limited to Orochi. The other thing they seem to want to play with is hidden indicators. Nobushi's hidden stance lights now have those. I couldn't quite measure a full 100 milliseconds for the hidden indicator, but a 367 millisecond attack indicator for the lights seems to be quite fast. They won't be quite as useless as people initially anticipated. They will land a lot more often now. Once again, top tier players are still able to react to that, but the power of those lights still went up significantly for the vast majority of the population. I won't argue that Nobushi got weaker, can't really make that argument, but it's not quite the end of the world for her. We'll still see her being played quite often. But moving on to the feint into guard break. If you watched the unlock roll video, you've already seen a bit of this. The guard break after a feint is now 300 milliseconds, meaning 100 milliseconds faster than before. As a compensation for that, they increased the duration in which you can counter guard break those by 100 milliseconds. Just a little tangent here. People always complain that changes are made solely for the benefit of the top level players. This increase in timing for a counter guard break was purely and solely for the benefit of low skilled players. This change does not affect high level players in the slightest. They could have countered that guard break no matter what. So please stop using these stupid statements about UB only catering to a specific skill bracket with their balance changes. It's absolutely nonsense to even try to make that argument. So, Does that mean that you will now land your Feint guard break against parry attempts more often? Well, more often might describe it best. But will you never eat a heavy from a parry attempt? Nope, you will still get hit for feinting into guard break. People will still complain about Raider's guard break vulnerability while other characters will eat those guard breaks. Getting someone to change their guard for a parry attempt also still increases the odds. This whole change was not aimed at catching parry attempts in the first place, if you ask me. We do have mix-ups that were dodgeable on a single timing, negating all the pressure that might have been put on you. Lawbringer, for example, benefited from this change. No longer can you back dodge his side unblockables and also avoid the guard break. The guard break is now fast enough to track it. You now have to actually make a decision when a Lawbringer uses it against you. Unlike the top one, which is still garbage. Aramusha also catches the back dodging of his deadly feints now. You have to properly deal with those soft feints now. Other moves like JJ's shin kick can still be side dodged on a single timing to avoid the whole mix-up. So even the increased vulnerability of side dodges, which now have a 633 millisecond recovery, doesn't really do much in the overall picture. It's a step in the right direction, but with a lot of room for improvement still. Now for recoveries, the changes were made on specific characters that they deemed necessary while others are still left untouched. Overall, the decrease in recoveries for a lot of attacks is a good idea. You want to encourage people to throw their attacks and not have them stand there in fear of being punished for every single thing they do. And recoveries played a big part in that, especially when there were multiple opponents around you. Throwing out a finisher on TND, for example, left you standing there like a total bellend with no chance of defending yourself. Someone standing 10 meters away could just jog up and still guard break you. What's interesting to me is that they mention multiple different recoveries in the patch notes. When you miss an attack, when you hit it, and when it gets blocked. Usually when we, the players, talk about recovery, we pretty much only refer to the one on missed or whiffed moves. On the other hand, they only give us one value, but we have multiple ones. It's not only one thing that you can do after the recovery. All the values given in the patch notes are in terms of when can you counter guard break. And to my huge surprise, my values are exactly the same as the ones stated. With that, I don't mean that it's normal for Ubi to give us the wrong numbers, but rather that they measured these differently in the past. This makes it a lot easier for me to check those, so I'm not complaining, but it was still quite a surprise. And while I like the approach, like I said, too many characters remained untouched and the change seems half-assed to me. They didn't only change the extremely high values or characters that have an extremely high pick rate or whatever else reason there might be. It seemed rather random to me. So please, more of it. Don't stop now. Or whatever else words you'd like to have whispered in your ear. Just keep going. Do it on more characters. To sum up the whole thing though, the overall mechanic changes of this patch were really nice, but some of the character specific ones are a little questionable. I mean, you can look at my Shinobi video and check which issues actually got addressed. I also don't particularly like only having nerfs on a character in a patch. Nerfs, if on a large scale, need to come with buffs to other aspects of a hero. Let me know if you want a more detailed analysis in regards to certain changed heroes. I'll wrap things up for now. I hope I cleared some things up. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.